Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-handed mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we have here a set of tires that a customer dropped off and said, can you install these on my tractor? I got them off of Amazon. Now, I haven't ever did this before, but he just wants to swap them out. I have to say though, I think he told me he spent maybe $50 on this set, and I know I just looked it up, and a tire from John Deere is about 50 bucks for one, and the rim from John Deere is about $112. So you're already less than half the price for two, including rims, than you would for one tire and one rim for John Deere. So we're going to go ahead and take this out and open them up. Now I already can tell that the tire size looks bigger. Now granted, his are bald. I didn't order these, he ordered them. He wants me to install them. So we're gonna go ahead and see what this is all about. Looks like they give you a whole bunch of spacers. And these wheels are offset. So are the John Deere wheels are offset, which means that you have a hub that sticks out a little farther than the other side. And obviously I like to make sure that the valve stems are on the outside, so that would make sure that the offset is on the inside. Grease fitting usually is always on the inside. It's nice that they actually give you grease fittings. Now these come with the old style bushing. I have a great video on how to install bearings instead of bushings. Let me show you what a bearing looks like. Okay, so here is the bearing, and it's a roller bearing instead of a bushing. This is like a steel alloy bushing. Now I can tell right now that the thickness of this bushing right now is half the thickness of what you would normally get on the original. The John Deere's all came with the D100 series, E100 series, L100 series. They came with bushings like this, but this is thinner than the other one. So right there, that's a cheaper version. These are bearings that we're going back to. They put these bearings in the old STX series in the 1980s and late 80s and early 90s, and these will last a very long time. I'm not going to do that with this because this is basically, he just wants me to put these on. We're going to grease them up. Nice feature is having the grease fitting. If you ever get these rims, you want to make sure you fill the hub assembly with grease. It may take a little while. Get yourself, have a grease gun over here. Get yourself a cartridge grease gun. There's a lot of room in there to fill up the grease. Have no air pockets in there, just grease. That'll push up against, if you're going to use bearings, I'll put the link in the description below on how to replace these bearings in your rims. You can even do these with your rims if you want to go ahead and put tires on your John Deere rims. Now, it doesn't say, it says 15 by 6 by 6. If you put them up against the other one, they are bigger. Now, I'm not sure what the inflation is. They feel pretty hard. They feel like there's a lot of air in them. This is a 15 by 6 by 6. This is a Carlisle, and Carlisle is a good tire. So these are, they don't say who makes them. Maximum inflation, it says here, 30 PSI. You don't want to go any higher than like 15 PSI. These are usually maxed out at 14 PSI. Let's go ahead and check the tire pressure just to see how much pressure we have in this tire right now. 17.6 PSI. I'm going to lower this down to about 14. Okay, 13.9 is good enough. They sure do come with a lot of spacers. You're going to use yourself some kind of a jack. And the jack point is where the front hanger for the mower deck would be. And there's a good bracket underneath. Most all the 100 series have the same identical bracket. Just get your jack under there, and all you need to do is jack it up until your wheels are off the ground. I'm going to leave the wheel on the ground for now so we can get the cap off. When you're taking off these caps, now this one looks like it's been on here. It's almost hard as a rock, so it's really stiff. You're going to have a lot of grease. Wipe the grease off. If you're correctly greasing your rims, then you should have some kind of a grease floating around here, because that, if you don't have any grease on here, that means you're not greasing your rims. And let me jack this up a little bit. I just want to see how much play there is. He's got this is what happens when you're using the bushings instead of the bearings. They get real loose in there if you don't keep them greased. But this cap's not going to come off easily. What I normally use is a pick with a hook in it, and you can try to pull them off. And this one here is really, really stiff. So be prepared to purchase some new caps. Plus, it's not even the John Deere yellow anymore. I'm going to use a heat gun. I'm going to heat it up. If you don't have a heat gun, maybe a hair dryer might work, or just put it out in the sun for a while. This is really, really stiff, but whoops. Made it a lot more pliable. And he did actually have grease in here. You can see the wobble. Clean off this the best you can with some kind of rags, because it's just going to be such a mess. And there's going to be washers on both sides of these. And you need some spacers. Now, usually you just find the center of your clip ring, and once you find the center, it'll pop up and out. There's your clip ring. Then you're going to have a washer. Okay, the big washer is what holds your cap on, and then that small washer here is just a spacer. And when you pull it out, you're going to see normally there's a washer on the back side of here, and there's a washer inside there. There's probably where the washer is, even though you can't see it right now. Use a small magnet. There it is. It's in there. I'm just going to go ahead and leave that one in there because we don't need to take that out. Now, just looking at the offset from the new to the old, this one's definitely different. The offset on this one, they're using the rim. The rim comes out and the offset is not as wide. This one here, the offset is much longer. So I'm not sure if they're using more of the rim, you would think that's going to be a beefier. It's going to be able to hold more weight because it's not as long. Where this one here sticking out farther, it's not going to be able to hold as much weight. Not sure if that's going to affect this in the long run or not. And this one's coming. It looks like this one's protruding out to almost the edge of the rim. And again, on this one, it's not quite out as long as the rim. So let's see if this thing's going to go in on here. Okay. All right. Well, it fits. Everything looks good. We have a wobble. We still have a wobble, and that is because what has happened, and you can't see this probably on camera because I can't put this up in the air, but turn this thing sideways. You can see a ridge right here on his axle, and that is from lack of grease, or it could be really cheap steel on the axles. I do believe that the bushings wear the axles out because the axle steel is junk. These are on steel. These should wear before this. Now this has worn, and it may be just from a long time of use without grease. He had grease in it when it came in. But we're going to put them on. He wants new, I think he just wanted new tires, but for the cost of the rim and the tire together, he just went and bought them. Now there is a space, a big space between your clip ring and where the washer goes. So we're going to go ahead and try to put the original back on. And then the washer, now right there, it's too tight. So I need to take this washer off, or I'm not going to be able to get the clip ring on. So just by using what he had on his machine, taking one off is what we're going to need to do. And then you just put the clip ring on there, get yourself a pair of pliers. And if you're not careful, these will shoot across the room, so just be careful. Lock it in, make sure it's all the way down, and then just go back and forth, like just make sure it's not going to fall off. Okay, we're good. Now, there definitely is a difference in height. Granted, this is, it's basically on the floor, but it's not that much of a difference. The tire feels, I mean, it doesn't feel, you know, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain this when you can't really see it, but I always like Carlisle. I don't know what brand this is. Obviously, it's a China brand tire or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put on dust caps. If you want John Deere dust caps, I like these. I've used the aftermarket ones. They're just really flimsy. They don't stay on. But the part number here, M143338, and these are a kind of like an off. I thought they'd be a little more dark yellow than that. And there may be different. I know there are different colors for different machines as far as the models of the machines. But it's definitely important to have dust covers on these to keep the grease in. And it looks nice. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up with grease. Okay, so the grease fittings here, I like the fact that they give you a right angle. It's gonna take probably 50 pumps of grease to fill that hub. And what I do is I'll pump them, looking at 20. I'll pump these things until I get to just about 50, or if I hear something pop, or if I feel it getting tight. And then what I do is I'll jack it up and then spin it. Now all I'm hearing is metal on metal right now. So what we want to do is we want to keep on greasing it until you hear it. And like I said, this hub is big. It's going to take a lot of grease. I may put a whole tube between both of these tires in there, and then the excess, clean that off. Spin it again. Sounds a little bit better. If you don't have the grease gun sitting quite right, sometimes it doesn't want to pump it in there, but it's hard to. Okay, now I quiet it down. That means that I just do this a couple times to get the grease to go around. And like I said, it takes a lot of grease. Pumping it a few times is not going to help. All right, I just felt it get stiff. That's good. That means it's full. And these should be good for quite a while. All right, so we'll see how this goes. I mean, everything looks like it's going to be okay for now. In the future, we'll find out how long these will last. But for the price point, I have to say it's not a bad deal at all. I'm not used to aftermarket anything up front. I would say keep your old tire and rim. If you need to, you can always you can take these rims and tires to a lawnmower shop and they can swap you out with good tires. So at least you'll have the OEM John Deere rim, and you can put a brand new Carlisle tire on here if they don't work out. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video, but I want to go do the other side. Hopefully this answers some questions. I'll put a link in the description below, again, like I said before, about putting bearings instead of these bushings. But this guy just wanted me to put these on real quick, and yeah, I just figured I'd show you guys what the aftermarket tires look like and go from there. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.